careful. But you gotta be really 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 careful. Hey YouTube, PETEY Finger here. I bought this little cordless screwdriver. This is a Ryobi brand, but really any brand. Now the thing with these batteries is eventually they do die. So this is what we do. Oh, Mr. Bobetus. Chicky Bobetus. This unplugs here. They unplug. So as you can see, there's a red and a black. That's positive and negative, right? So what I'm going to do here is peel this back. And it just kind of popped off. It's a little bit munged up on the bottom, so I am going to apply some flux. This is plumber's flux. It's not electronics flux. And sometimes I get in trouble when I use this. Guys will kind of freak out and go, "Don't do what PETEY does. He's using the wrong kind of flux." Well, I cleaned it off. Red is positive, and this was no longer taking a charge. That's what these batteries will do. It was shutting itself down like the battery was full, and it wasn't full. It would run for a second, like, I have a replacement battery. This is rated at a 1200 milliamp hour battery. 1200 mAh is what they call that. And that's just the capacity, the amount of current that this will hold. And this is a lithium ion battery. This is what's in the Tesla motor car. So we've got a replacement. You can buy these. Me, I get them when my wife and I, we do a lot of resale shopping. We like to save a buck if we can. And these, you can find them often at a Goodwill. It's a syringe. This is that plumber's flux. You'll find these batteries in an old laptop power pack. Someone brought in their old laptop power pack. I'll let the poor people at the Goodwill, maybe they can figure out how to have a use for that old laptop battery. And I do. You take them apart, and they'll be 6 or 8. You never know. But you get a good amount of these lithium-ion 18650 batteries. They're really good rechargeable batteries. They tend to not have a memory. They, whereas the old nickel cadmium style, those have a memory, and that memory is not good. They won't forgive you if you charge it a little bit wrong. You take it off early because you're in a hurry, or maybe the battery doesn't need to be charged just yet, and you charge it, it'll never forget, and it'll always be ruined. Whereas these lithium ions, they don't care. You can charge them whenever you want, how long ever you want, and it'll just run dry. It's not going to like hold it against you forever like a nickel cadmium battery does. So what I'm doing here is I'm just applying on each opposite side. That's how it was from the factory. The plus and the minus were 180 from each other. And I went ahead and I pre-tinned. The battery has some solder on it, and I'm going to do the same the ground for this battery is up and around. There's a little sealer that goes around, so you really don't want to damage this. You do not want to make a short circuit between the positive and the negative. And it looks like we're okay. So what I wanted to tell you, this is a 1200 milliamp hour mAh battery. This is a 14. And that just means that I didn't have a 12 to replace it with. I had a 14, which is more. It has more capacity to store a little bit more electricity. It's not really going to matter. I would think everything would pretty much run as normal, or maybe that the board, the circuit board for this is going to limit it, and it will still run like a 1200 mAh, so that will be 200 milliamp hour capacity that's wasted. So the battery has been replaced. Now I'm going to go and put the clamshell back together. The capacity of this battery is 1200. Okay, the capacity of this battery is 1400, is a little more. Now, ideally, you'd get a 1200 mAh to replace it. And where I would get nervous is if I was going lower. Like, this is a 1200 mAh, and if I put 1000 mAh in it, so going down is not good. Going up, yeah, you can go up with it. Like, anything greater than 1200, I wouldn't really think it would be an issue. But going lower with your replacement battery, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, it probably wouldn't matter, especially if you're keeping an eye on it. But really, safety is a concern, and like I said, when you're soldering these tabs back on here, you really have to pay attention on the positive end, not so much the negative. The way that the battery's constructed, the shielding, the ground comes up around the side, and then there's like a divot, space with nothing, air, and then there's the positive section. And that is differentiated by this little plastic or paper tab they put in there that's held into place by this heat shrink tubing. So when you're soldering onto there, you just got to make sure that your iron, if there is any damage to this shielding or to that ring, you're going to want to replace the ring. You could actually cut one out of cardstock paper with a hobby knife if you're the creative type. Heat shrink tubes, if you're going to get into playing around with lithium ion batteries, order yourself a pack of 50 or 500 of these. They're really cheap. And you put them on with a hairdryer or an embossing tool, whatever you got. You'll run into a lot of them at resale, but when you do, more often than not, it'll either be it doesn't have the charger, so you have to find your own charger, look up on the internet what it takes, what the voltage, what the milliamps is, and then maybe adapt the power connection. You can remove the power connector and just have a couple of wires sticking out. Put your own pigtail, a female 2.1 mil DC is what I recommend. Those are popular size connector for DC. Or find out what it is and use the proper connector. Solder up your own thing. Make sure you get the polarity right, of course. Typically, when you find these, they won't have the power supply or the battery will be dead. And that's what I said. The laptop power supply is the plastic brick at the bottom of the laptop that disconnects. That's full of these. That's why it's heavy. It's full of these 18650 batteries. So if you have an old laptop, you can take that and run a hobby knife around it, open it up, remove these, peel the metal tabs off the top, get all the metal bits off of there, maybe sand it a little bit, and then put that in a charger and see. It's more than likely you can bring them back to life and get a lot of use out of these. These make wonderful flashlight batteries. These are just by far the way to go. Lithium ion, doesn't have a memory. They're 4 volts. They're great batteries. And like I said, more often than not, when you see something like this, it's a $40 tool. And you can get them for $5 or less at the resale store. But this battery will be blown. And like if you look it up, Walmart has one for 16 bucks. These batteries, they're not cheap. So getting 8 of them in a pack that you pay $1.99 for, even if one of them is bad and it won't take a charge, a lot of times that bad one, if you keep popping it on your charger, like let's say the LED won't come on, it won't turn red charging, and then it's green when it's done. Well, if you keep tapping it on there for a couple of quick milliseconds, I can bring them back to life with certain chargers. Unless the thing's gone. And if any electronic engineers are watching this, they're going to flip out in the comment section. You never slam it. You never put more than 3 volts, and blah 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 blah. Well, I do, and that's kind of what we do here. Everything that I do is wrong, and to save a buck, and I don't mind. I mean, if I'm missing a couple of fingers, shit happens. Anyway. That was replacing a lithium-ion battery. I hope it was helpful. If it wasn't, well, sorry. Don't leave a comment. Really, I really don't care for people being nasty in the comment section. My mom taught me, if you don't have anything nice to say, zip it. So maybe find someone else to go rag out on. I got enough problems playing around with dead lithium-ion batteries. All right, we'll see you guys. Peace. But you've got to be really careful.